idiosyncratic concerns and confusions, the experience is unified by its painfully hermetic character. Anxiety compels a person to think, but it is the type of thinking that gives thinking a bad name: solipsistic, self-eviscerating, unremitting, vicious. My walks to therapy, for example, were spent outlining with great logical precision the manner in which my state of mind would lead me to complete existential ruin. A typical line of thought went something like this: I am anxious. The anxiety makes it impossible to concentrate. Because it is impossible to concentrate, I will make an unforgivable mistake at work. Because I will make an unforgivable mistake at work, I will be fired. Because I will be fired, I will not be able to pay my rent. Because I will not be able to pay my rent, I will be forced to have sex for money in an alley behind Fenway Park. Because I will be forced to have sex for money in an alley behind Fenway Park, I will contract HIV. Because I will contract HIV, I will develop full-blown AIDS. Because I will develop full-blown AIDS, I will die disgraced and alone. From free-form anxiety to death by prostitution in 8 short steps. Most weeks, I found that I could kill myself off before I'd crossed the bridge into Charlestown. This gave me a half a mile to fully experience the ignominy of my downfall, to see my mother wailing like a Sicilian peasant over my lime-complected corpse, to see the rabbi eulogizing my unfulfilled promise, to hear the thump of dirt on unfinished pine, to accompany my 2 brothers as they rush home from graveside to pull the plastic wrap off the cold-cut platters and switch on the coffee urn. Meanwhile, mounting the hill to the clinic, near horizontal against the angle of ascent, I would do my best to weep, for cathartic purposes. These were pathetic attempts at weeping, the bleaty cries of someone who has wept himself dry, like an ape laughing. Sweaty with strain and agitation, I would try to manufacture bona fide tears, and always I would fail. By the time I arrived at the clinic, I was typically so demoralized I could barely stand. I was 23 years old, and I looked like Nixon resigning the presidency. My opening monologues in therapy, like my en route self-destruction, rarely varied. I would open by insisting that I was a thoroughgoing wreck. My anxiety had grown so intense over the preceding week that I could no longer, in good faith, work. The only honorable thing for me to do was to leave my job. Following that, I would insist that my pain was so acute that it surely signaled legitimate insanity of one stripe or another, and that it would border on malpractice for Brian to continue to see me as an outpatient. What I required was hospitalization, preferably at an institution with manicured grounds and nurses who wore starched white hats with red crosses embroidered on them. Finally, I would plead for help. I would insist that Brian tell me what to do. Please, I would say, please, just tell me what to do. I can't do this on my own. I'm not capable. Tell me what I need to do. I'll do anything. Please. I'm begging you, please. What should I do? It was at some point during this opening speech, on the afternoon I am talking about, that Brian interrupted and asked if he could film me. Brian taught graduate students, he explained, and he sometimes used videotaped sessions during his seminars for training purposes. "You want to tape me?" I asked. "For training purposes," he said. "You can say no, of course." "I can?" I said. "I can say no?" "Yes, of course." "It would be all right?" "Yes." "You'd still be able to teach?" "Yes." "So it's okay?" "Yes." "No." And so we carried on as if he had never made the request. For the 40 or so minutes remaining in the session, I sat wretched with hopelessness as Brian nodded and made maddeningly benign facial expressions, as was his habit. Then I retraced the steps of Paul Revere and Sam Adams and all the rest of the great patriots, this time in reverse,